All right, let's do example 2 together. And then you guys could do some on your own. So here's our start. Task A, see task A with no prerequisites. That'll come first. Then look at the next 3. See those? All of which have a prerequisite of A, which means task B, C, and D will all have arrows coming out of A. That's what that means, because B, C, and D all have prerequisites of A, which means you cannot get to B, C, or D without going through A first. Okay? Task E now has a prerequisite of B, so that means from B to E we're going to draw an arrow. Task F has a prerequisite C and D. So from C and D, we're going to put arrows out of both of them into task F. Task G has a prerequisite of E. So from E, we're going to go to task G. And then finally, task H has prerequisites of E and F. So we're going to draw H, and we're going to put arrows. So from E and F, so here's E, and here's F, going into task H, and then finally the finish. So this is actually important. So any tasks that are left open-ended, so see how like G has no arrows out of it? That means you draw an arrow to the finish. Same thing with H. Any tasks that have no arrows coming out of them always go to finish. Okay? Then the last thing is we just got to label our times. The start arrow is always 0. Task A is 4. That means this, and this all get labeled 4, because those are all the arrows coming out of A. That means you cannot graduate out of task A until 4 units of time have passed. Okay? Task B is 3. So this little arrow up here is going to get a 3. Task C is 1. So this arrow is going to get a 1. Task D is 6. So this arrow is going to get a 6. Now, one quick point. It doesn't matter how long the arrows you draw are. That doesn't matter at all. So like you might ask, why is that arrow for C so long if it's only 1? And the arrow for B is shorter if it's 3? That's totally irrelevant. You could draw the arrows as long or as short as you want. Task E is 2. So this and this are both 2. Task F is 3. So that's a 3. Task G is also 3. So that's a 3. And then finally task H is 1. So that's a 1. There you have it. That's your diagram. One last important point. If you need to ever draw arrows that cross over one another, that's totally fine. You could do that. So like suppose I needed to draw from D to G. Like I could draw one like that if I needed to. You could have arrows that cross over. Okay? That's it. So I want you guys to try for homework numbers 3 and number 4 right here. That's your homework. It'll be checked for points. Our next class meeting by the due date, 4 p.m. All right.